talk about the Steelers being for real, in my opinion, it's like, can they go to the Super Bowl? Can they compete against Kansas City? Can they compete against the Patriots? Let me ask you this. Any Steelers fans here? You all want Le'Veon back? Ooh, interesting. Let's get into that subject. So Pittsburgh has now won 5 in a row, and according to Steelers president Art Rooney, additional help is on the way. Rooney said the Steelers no bells in Pittsburgh. The team is expecting he'll be back next week. Stephen A. Smith, you just heard these fine men and women out here. They're not so sure they want him. Chemistry's good. James Conner's playing well. With the way this team is playing, do they really want Le'Veon Bell to return?
I don't think they do. Now, let me be very, very clear. I'm not going to get into the greatness of Le'Veon Bell because that's no debate. We all understand how great he is, how phenomenal of a player he is. There is absolutely, positively nothing about his skill set and his numbers and his level of production that he brings to the table. That's not the subject here. The subject here is a team that's rolling, that views him as a distraction to them because of the manner in which he has handled free agency. I'm not telling you how I feel. As far as I'm concerned, take him back. The brother can ball, period. But we are on a military base. You talk, if that we were in front of a crowd that appreciates the importance of teamwork, relying on your brother or your sister along the way, your comrade along the way, it's these folks. And so when you have a situation where you have offensive linemen who I disagreed with for calling him out, but they called him out. And then you have a coach going on the record saying, we want volunteers, not hostages. What I'm saying is, it's not Stephen A. talking. It's not Max talking. It's not any pundit commentator out there that's talking. We're talking about what the Steelers are saying. What are we to make of? What are we to decipher from what they're talking about? And what they're talking about is, we're fine without you. Take every single quote you have heard emanating out of the Steelers locker room, out of the Steel City, regardless of his greatness, and its unquestionable greatness. They have been saying, we're fine without you, and then they've gone on the field over the last 5 weeks, and they've put on display, we are fine without you, to the point where last night, after a damn near perfect game with a perfect passer rating for Big Ben Roethlisberger, one of the greatest performances of his career, he's asked a question about Le'Veon Bell. He looks the reporter straight in the face and says, I'm not talking about anybody that's not in this locker room. Very dismissive, very nonchalant, very matter-of-fact about it, because what they're saying is, you, sir, have been a distraction. And I think that's why we saw all of those tweets from Le'Veon Bell last night, because we see somebody trying to re-ingratiate himself to that locker room because he knows he's coming back, and he knows there's quite a few people he's ticked off inside that locker room.
They're not going to deal with people who aren't in the locker room. Le'Veon Bell's not in the locker room. That is true. Yeah. And we understand that NFL teams, that's the way they feel. In the offseason, it's not a controversy. That's your money. Once the season starts, we got to roll with who's here, right? That's fine. The fact is, it's set up in such a way that if labor, in this case, players want to get paid, sometimes they have to hold out. Mm-hmm. And Le'Veon Bell is taking it to an extreme measure, showing up the last moment he can still get his money and become a free agent. When he shows up in the locker room, it'll be different because he will be one of the guys. He will be a volunteer. He's not so much a hostage as he is the kidnapper. He kidnapped himself away from the team, right, for ransom money. And he's going to get it at the end of the year when he becomes a free agent. As for should they want him back, guys, think about this for a second. And you made this point with Des Bryant on the Saints. I'm saying, I don't know if I take Des Bryant right now. The chemistry's good on the Saints. They're rolling. Molly, your point was depth.
Yeah, of course.
Then it comes out Cameron Meredith getting his knee scoped.
Yep.
Oh, but they have Des Bryant.
Yeah.
Guys, the Steelers are so hot right now. Your argument is don't mess up the chemistry. But you know what's more important than that? Fielding a good team. And James Conner just went into concussion protocol.
He did.
So it's like, what's going to happen to the Steelers now? We had this good, hard-charging, great story, great productive team chemistry, locker room running back, James Conner, and now his health may be in jeopardy. How are we going to fill that void? Oh, I don't know. How about with the best running back in the game? You're going to talk about depth. You're about to return, when last seen, the best back in the game who you can split out wide, put in the slot, run out of the backfield. He can block. He can do everything you want.
But that's changing the subject. And here's what I mean. Here's what I mean by that. I'm not chiding you for it. I'm being serious here. It's changing the subject because we know they're going to take him back. They don't have to let him sign that franchise tag. Of course they want him back as an organization. Of course you realize his greatness. What we're talking about is from an emotional perspective, the guys that actually have to get on that field, the guy that you, figuratively speaking, of course, particularly for this audience, the guys you have to go to battle with. How welcoming are they going to be of him? You accept it. You accept his greatness. But you know what you also remember? And I'll sit up there and I'll ask y'all this question based on a round of applause. How many folks would remember that when they were losing and they started off 1-2-1, this brother was sending footage of him on jet skis in South Beach? Who would forget that? You see, what I'm trying to say is that you have people, and I'm not calling Le'Veon Bell out. I have no problem with the position that he took because I understand his business. But understand he was basically indicating to them, at least according to some of the cats in that locker room who I've spoken to, in their eyes, he was indicating he was looking for y'all to fail. He was lavishing in the possibility that y'all was sinking because he wasn't there. That is something that resonates with teammates.